right, well, it is another weekend.
Like that! Rock and stone!
And we're back. We're gonna be playing some Deep Rock Galactic. I'm gonna do my deep dive. Regular deep dive, not the elite deep dive. And, we'll talk about some stuff. Oh, man. Brain Punk says, "Hi, how's your day? I hope it's wonderful." Oh, I'd say it's pretty good. How's yours? Brain Punk is on Twitch. KNat, hey, how's it going? Johnny 5K is on Trovo.
Rock and stone!
Alright. Brain Punk says his day is great. Well, that's good. Sandblasted Caverns. That's where we're going right now, to the region of the planet. All the walls only take one hit to get rid of. Brain Punk says, tips with Scout. He wants to know about tips with Scout. Oh, yeah. Johnny's on D-Live, not Trovo. Well, I mean, are you having trouble with anything in particular on Scout? And are you playing solo or with others?
Right. Welcome to the first stage of the deep dive. You're in for a rough ride, miners. Hope you know what you signed up for.
Brain Punk says solo. You know, it's... In my mind, it's not the strongest class solo. And I haven't played much of it solo, really. Like, when I've played solo, I've pretty much always played Driller. And maybe some Gunner. Today I'm playing Gunner solo. Let's see. What would be a good tip? You definitely run potentially different perks solo as Scout. Like the hover boots, for example. It also depends on what map you're on. So, for instance, here we're in Sandblasted Caverns. You know, if you shoot up to one of the walls and grapple in, you can sort of be like 1, 2. So I can get like a big hole in the wall, a dwarf-sized hole in the wall, sort of semi-instantly. Hover boots is a lot better on maps where it's like 3 hits to take down a wall piece, right? It can allow you to sort of get those harder to get minerals. KNat says he finds Solo Scout to be difficult. Yeah. I mean, when you pick the Scout, one of the things he says is, like, I don't just scout as much as I make this mission possible, and he says stuff like, I'll keep the team alive. You know, he's a really great one to have around for a team. In solo, it's probably rougher. The only thing I'd look into on Scout is making sure you're picking loadouts where you're not going to run out of ammo. I mean, obviously, you have a ability to get a lot of nitra as Scout, but it's my impression playing him that on some 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 outfits, some loadouts, you can really run out of ammo quick. And yeah, I mean, a lot of Scout is also his mobility. If you can be mobile well, don't be afraid to use your own. Like, everyone's got their own problems, right, when they try and play class. But like, some people don't throw their flares nearly enough. Oh yeah, there's just regular deep dive. I was wondering why it was so easy. All right, drill dozer and mini mules. All right. Well,
fuel canisters are all dry as a bone. Refill them, and we will have this show.
Can you mine that? I think you can mine that. It's gonna take forever though. It's really slow to mine that. Whoop. I'll probably repair this before I have to get back to the Doretta.
Mule operational. Well done.
KNAT says Engineer has his favorite weapon to use. It's also nicer to solo with the sentries and AoE weapons. Well, certainly Engineer is a highly flexible class. Can do a lot of just anything you want, really. And the sentries allow you to be a little bit like, for example, on a mission like this, where you need someone overlooking the dozer. You can sort of be in more than one place at once with Engineer. Now, what's your favorite weapon to use, though? Exploders are exploding on the drill. Oh, man. Who's over here? Oh, you're over here. Wow, they die quick in these lower hazard levels.
Doretta is purring like a kid.
Alright, so, one of the things that I was just thinking about talking today, I don't know if you've seen, you know, when it comes to drivers, people driving, driving interesting. You know, a lot of people have their own very personal ideas about driving. They get a very emotional of them over them. I mean, we've all seen, if you've driven enough, you've seen like actual road rage, people nearly running each other off the road because they're angry about this or that, which is, you know, on some level it's sort of like insane, right? Because I don't know, if you put the minor infractions of cutting another person off versus the reaction, they don't match well. It's almost always quite an overreaction, right? But one of the things that really annoys me is a lot of people, and this is when they're trying to be nice too, right? They're trying to be nice, so they want to wave you through, right? You've been waved through an intersection or whatever, which is fine. I'm not saying no one should wave anyone through. But a lot of people don't pay attention, like, they have no idea how to wave someone through. I'm actually gonna bring up paint here, right? Let me see if I can grab this. Properties. Alright. Have you seen this happen? You've probably seen these on YouTube, right? You'll have a road. Boom. Boom. Then we'll do... Obviously, we can't have white lines, but... We'll do sort of gray. For on your own side of the road, we'll do the traditional yellow down the center. Gray again. KNAT says he doesn't like driving in traffic for exactly what you say. So here's the thing, right? Let's say you're here and you want to take a left, right? You want to take a left here. Well, I'll leave the arrow there. You want to go here. Some guy will come up here, stop, and then start waving you, right? But he hasn't looked at anything around him. So the semi shooting down here at, you know, at 60 miles an hour is flying through, and he's looking at you like you're a jerk for not going when he's waved you. Have you had that? He's like, I'm waving you, dude. Go. And it's like, yeah, well, there's more. I'm going to be interfacing with more than one lane here. You're blocking off your lane, which is, you know, you've stopped. So, you know, everyone back here is trapped behind you. And I had, gosh, Nero. Nero says Embargo makes up for his drawing skills with other qualities. I mean, isn't this... I feel like this is a fairly clear representation, isn't it? I actually had someone today, right? So this, in this case, I'm a pedestrian. This is insane. I couldn't believe this when I saw it. All right, let's draw this out. We'll do it pretty quick here, right? We'll go like this. Can I do that? Okay, no. Boom. Boom. Yeah. Move that there. So you have like a median. I could actually move these slightly. Just to give myself more room. Yeah. There we go. We'll go like that, and this. So I'm a pedestrian, right? And this is a major intersection, right? So let me do size here. Bing, bing, bing. Then there's like a median, right? And then we got more of this. Boom, boom, boom. And then you got the same stuff all over, right? Whoa, crap. Can I flip it? Yeah. So it's like... So I'm standing right here, right? I'm standing right here. And I want to cross this huge street, right? Massive street. And so... Of course, I have a red arrow, or a red crosswalk, right? I'm waiting for the crosswalk to turn green. You got 3 lanes this way, 3 lanes the other way. You know, there's 6 lanes of traffic and a median. This is a big road. Very heavily trafficked. This dude, today, this guy sort of drove up. You know, he's got a green, right? It's so left, right is going, and up, down is stopped, right? So he's driving. He stops here in the intersection and waves me. He tries to wave me through. Like, listen, I know you're being nice, but you're insane. There are 6 lanes of traffic coming across my path. I can't go just because you stop and wave me. People are crazy. Again, people are nice. That's very nice of him to want to wave me. I appreciate it. But it's not reasonable. This is not how the road works. You're blocking your lane. There are 5 other lanes of traffic. This is a huge road. I mean, at most... Really, what could he hope for if I went? If I went, like, the best thing you could hope for is that, like, I would run, and get to the median safely and be stranded there, waiting for my crosswalk light anyway. Point is, I like the people who wave you through. They're very nice people. They're considerate. They're thinking about you. They're saying, I'm going to stop so you can go. That's great. But remember, there's other people on the road, and if it's not right for the person to cross, don't give them an annoyed look like, why aren't you crossing? I'm waving you through. He gave me this, like, I'm an idiot, look, for not, I don't know, sprinting across 6 lanes and a median just because he waved his hand at me. Like, I'm like, I'm not going. You're stopped for some reason. You're stopped right in the middle of an intersection. And I only had to wait like 10 more seconds for my crosswalk light. Like, it was at the end of this left-right thing, or towards the end of it, and soon it was going to be us. Frogger, Johnny 5K says, just imagine Frogger and go. Well, exactly. That's what it would be if I would actually, like, if the moment someone flicks their hand at you to wave you in, if you just started trusting them and going, it would be like Frogger. And we all know that Frogger, like, I don't think you can win Frogger. It's just like a, how far can you go in Frogger, right? Like, eventually you get hit. Oh, man. People. Again, they're very nice. Nice people. Nice people. They wanted to wave me through. Very considerate. Just not super smart is all. So I'm giving Bosco the command to escort Doretta, right? So if you look at him, he's got the fist on him now. So he's down here. So he's fighting. But once these are all dead, he'll have the shield because he's protecting the drill dozer, right? Is there anything left? Oh, there might be one thing left. Oh, what's this? Oh, yeah, that. Okay, see, he's got the shield on him now. So he's protecting the drill dozer, but I'll tell you what, he's really bad at it. Like, I was wandering around looking for those last 2 bugs. He couldn't find them either, right? And he won't heal it. He won't repair the drill dozer. He'll just stay near it and attack things around it. But because he, like, clips through walls and clips through the drill dozer, he'll often not be in direct line of fire to the stuff he needs to shoot, so he just won't shoot, right? All right. Well. And how am I doing on nitro? Oh, pretty good. I suppose I could just go. I could just proceed to the next thing. Like, I could go back to the previous room and get more nitra. Or I could just keep going. And I should be fine to keep going, I'm pretty sure.
All canisters fueled. Drill dozer ready to make more progress. Drill dozer moving. Try to keep up and guard it with your life.
Oh, and gosh, I should have talked about this when I was doing the city building games too. You know, there's a lot of you have discussions like, are roundabouts good, right? Got a lot of roundabouts in Europe. You have very few roundabouts in the United States. And you know, you have the roundabout fans. And like, okay, I get it. There's definitely some nice things to roundabouts. But I'll tell you what. Uh-oh. Come on, drill dozer. There you go. Drill dozer got it. A lot of Americans just have no clue on how to drive around roundabouts. Like, even as different, like, municipalities and stuff add roundabouts in the United States, our driving courses for kids, I don't know if they actually contain, you know, any instruction on how to drive in one, right? I've seen, and heck, some people, you will see a bigger support for roundabouts among liberals. Why? Well, a lot of liberals are a little bit more willing and interested in being critical of that which is American, right? So they want to align themselves with that which is not American. Now, one of the things I've seen is not only do a lot of people not know how to drive on roundabouts, some of the people who have built roundabouts don't know how to build roundabouts. I have seen, in the United States, roundabouts where every entrance to the roundabout has a stop sign at it. There is a stop sign at every entrance to the roundabout. All of a sudden, the whole purpose of a roundabout has been defeated. So why did the person in charge choose to make a roundabout? Maybe because they felt like it was somewhat foreign to what we do here and therefore superior? Just kind of wondering. But they didn't actually understand why a roundabout might be good. You know, it's good because it keeps continuous flow, essentially, right? You don't have to stop until you put stop signs at every entrance, and now you do. Knat says, your waving story reminds me about the circles where I come from. Don't know if it's the same over there, but there's a rule is small circles are treated like a four-way stop in heavy traffic, but not everyone knows it, which causes a lot of confusion where two people try to wave to each other to give way for a couple seconds. Yeah, so you will see a lot of people, especially... Okay, you will see four-way stops, you know, in neighborhoods. And there's definitely people who will just wave you through because they don't know who has the right of way, right? They don't know if they should be going or you should be going. And one of the ways to, like, deal with this lack of understanding is to, like, try and be extra polite and wave the other person through, right? Because at that point, you're sort of saying, like, oh, it's not that I don't understand who should be going. It's just that I'm so nice that I'll always defer to you, right? You see what I'm saying? So waving people through as a way to avoid having to know who's actually supposed to be going.
Outer crust has been breached. Keep defending the drill dozer.
Uh-oh. Mr. Gladius, happy birthday. So, if you guys have Deep Rock Galactic, one of the things you could look at is, like, the Steam news page or their, like, official YouTube channel. So, in this game, they have, like, their season thing, right? Like, the season pass sort of deal, except it's free. And they added those new guns to the game. I'm holding one of them now. They added a primary for each class, and they added a new mission type. Well, they've been working on the next season. And they're going to be adding, I believe, new secondaries for every class. And they've been showing off videos of the new secondaries on their YouTube and their Steam news channel. So if you do have this game, you're likely going to get more probably free content coming up here in the... I don't know how long it's going to be. They may have mentioned when they're going to come out with Season 2, but I'm guessing we're... Because I think this is the third one they're teasing, and there's only 4 classes, so I'm guessing we're only probably a couple months away.
Rock and stone! Yeah! Prepare the dozer before it takes one thing you have killed me! Don't think again! Damage! Fix!
Alright.
Help me protect the dozer!
Let's see, what else? Oh, is anyone playing Pokemon Go yet? I know on Wednesday... no, not Wednesday. Tuesday. I believe it's Spotlight Hour for Paris. That's going to be a good day. I mean, it's going to be a good hour. I'm going to be playing the hell out of that hour. No one can reach me that hour. I won't be accepting phone calls. If you try and talk to me, I'll have my nose against the phone.
The drill dozer is exposing the core.
We got some people in the chat trying to guess my age. I'm not going to tell you. But I'll enjoy reading your guesses anyway. I mean, I've given various things that date me, right? Over time, you know, I've talked about video games that I've played growing up, or this or that I've done, and sort of like my perspective is on some level a matter of like the world I grew up in, which includes like some sort of age data in there somewhere. On Twitter, you may have seen one of the serials I used to enjoy back in the 90s that I was able to obtain again. They discontinued it, and then I guess they brought it back, and I'm not sure if it's still back, or if I just got... But anyways, it was Waffle Crisp. Anyone eat Waffle Crisp back in the day? I'm gonna put the shield down and just heal this for a little bit. I should be done shooting. If you look at the, I mean, I don't even have to heal this, ultimately. Like, there's no way for them to deal enough damage to this for me to fail. So I can just kind of stand over here, resupply, and get ready to go. We've got a bunch of guesses about my age. Again, I'm not going to tell you, but it seems like most of the guesses are... Let me take a look here. Late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s. Johnny 5K says 38. You know, those are your guesses. So that's where everyone else is thinking. All right. Again, I'm not going to tell you, but that is what other people are guessing. Woo! Gosh, a lot of bugs here, huh? Why are there so many bugs down here? Alright. Let's go.
Stage completed. Proceed to the extraction zone.
Where is that damn
So in this game mode, or most of the game modes, a lot of them, you can press C to call Molly. Molly's just going to sit there until the drop pod actually lands. But if you start running towards the pod and then call her, she'll make more progress. It speeds it up by like 10-15 seconds. Right? It's very nice. And those 10-15 seconds kind of matter a lot. When you're standing around at the drop pod, you know, you're trying to avoid using like a lot of extra ammo. 15 seconds is good. So like, get out of here. No, go away. Ooh. Like, she's pretty close-ish to the pod now. Go away. Oh, you can't touch this. Da, 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 da. Nero thinks Krogan is around 40. Or he thought Krogan was 40.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 4 minutes.
rock and roll?
The mule has been successfully retrieved. Make it snappy, team. The drop pod won't hang around.
Nero says that age is a social construct anyway.
Hang tight.
All right. Listen. I'm not Vosh, all right? I'll ban you. Johnny 5K says Black and White was released in 2001, and I doubt you were really that young playing it. I don't know. Now, Black and White, that was a Peter Molyneux game, right? That was a guy made Fable and whatnot. I mean, I remember playing Fable. That was Peter Molyneux, right?
Here we go!
We also have some discussion in the chat about Harry Potter houses. God.
So far, so good. Second stage of the deep dive is commencing. Get it done,
You know, instead of this Harry Potter house fictional talk, we should have, what's it called? Battletech house talk, right?
Down it goes.
Are you Steiner? Are you Lyrian? Or are you, Davian?
I killed the loot bug.
Are you Free Worlds League?
So proud of
I don't assume most of us are Capellan or Combine. So, we should take a look at that too. Let me bring that up. Let me bring that up in a window. And you'll also probably see in the tabs what I want to talk about later. Houses. Oh yeah, houses. Battletech. The successor houses, great houses. No, let's bring up Sarna. Mech Wiki. Yeah, here we go. Successor states. Sarna. Sarna's the... That's not the right window. Here it is. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, clicking on all the wrong things. Successor states. So, you have these different parts of the galaxy, right? That get... They have their own ruling family, House Kurita, Draconis Combine, right? Now, obviously, I don't know. Obviously, is there a map? Let's just, gosh, what's a good year? 3029 map? Oh God, 30 map. Okay, inner sphere. We need some maps. Okay. The 3040. So, like, you have the Draconis Combine. Like, Earth is around here, right? Boop. Draconis Combine. This is sort of a Japanese empire of sorts in the universe, right? So, like, this is, Nero says, what is this nerd stuff? Well, it is nerd stuff, right? So it's a fictional sci-fi universe, right? But rather than like some sort of like, oh, well, we're all the same inside and everyone wants the same things and blah, 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 and we'll all get along and like, you know, make out with aliens sort of stuff. Instead, it's, you know, instead it's like the differing races and groups of mankind go out and sort of like take control of certain areas of the galaxy and create their own sort of destiny for themselves. So you have like House Kurita, personal honor and a self-reliance bordering on xenophobia are also encouraged by House Kurita. Now, obviously, some of this is more like some of this writing and the interpretation might be more modern, but right, you have these different sort of ethnies and racial groups going out and sort of building their own thing. And it's like, this is a big chunk of stars, right? So like, whatever ethnic you are, like if someone in my videos is like Indonesian, I'm sure you could probably type in like New Jakarta. Let me see. Maybe not Jakarta. New Jerusalem. No, well, anyway, there's like every group has gone out there, you know, whether you're like North African, you know, they have their own sort of regions. I believe North Africans have some star systems within the Draconis Combine. So like here's the Free Rauselhog Republic. This is more sort of a Finno-Scandinavian ethnic group. They kind of went out to these, what we might think of as north on this map, and they went to these sort of stars, but a lot of them were actually ultimately under the thumb of the Draconis Combine. They were under control by like this sort of Japanese empire. Then they sort of broke away and created their Free Rauselhog Republic there. And they also took... Also, some of them were part of the Lyrans. But this is some, like, I'm just saying, okay, you're calling this nerd stuff. But weren't you one of the people who were talking about sorting hats for Harry Potter, right? Like, this is a lot more interesting and masculine than Harry Potter. Sorting hat. You know, which wizard house are you in? You know, I'm in the woman respecter house. All women, including guys who happen to be women. Nero says, I like to believe Stefan and Peter Molyneux are related. Imagine the family dinners. Well, they're at least, you know, distantly related. We are brothers here. That would be a heck of a dinner, though. Okay, what's that? Gold. Who cares? Where am I? Oh, okay. I need to go there. Nero says, talking about sci-fi, what do you think of All Tomorrows? I don't know All Tomorrows. Uh-oh. Get away from me. Oh, I could hear them exploding behind me. I had to just keep going through the wall. If I wasn't in Sandblasted Caverns, so here in Sandblasted Caverns, it's only one hit to knock a piece of wall, right? Instead of like 2 or 3. If I was in any other place, I probably would have died. Oh my gosh. More nitro. Nero says he wasn't talking about Harry Potter. Oh, okay. Alright, then you're forgiven. Ando says he never read those books. He did see the movies, though. I think I read the first 2 or 3 books a long time ago. Like, when they were new. I remember when the books were coming out, right? And I read, I don't know, the first couple. I never saw any of the movies. I mean, I didn't care enough to see the movies. Uh-oh. But I remember, like, wasn't the Harry Potter books, like, they were still being released and were new and were all exciting. And around the same time that, like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was, like, becoming everywhere, right? Like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was, like, a big thing that was happening, and, like, everyone was super excited about it. And, you know, everyone you knew was like, oh, if I were on that show, I'd do great. And you're like, no, you wouldn't. And they're like, yeah, you're right, I wouldn't. But I still like to believe that I would. If I ever get on Millionaire, I'm gonna phone you as my friend. Oh, well, then you're gonna lose. God forbid you actually phone me when they're asking about some 1950s stamp, right? That show. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Up. Oh my... Okay, yeah, if you look in the upper left of my screen, you see Exploder Infestation. Yeah. Nero says, Harry Potter is anti-trans, therefore based. We're really lowering the bar for based whenever we do this. I really have a problem with the whole thing. Like, you actually have, like, I know you're joking, but, like, you'll have, like, a right-wing guy and be like, oh, well, these TERFs are pretty based. And it's like, TERF. They're a trans-exclusionary, radical feminist, all right? Like, once you've started to tell me that you think radical feminists are based or whatever, I know you're just, like, you got something wrong with you, right? You might be... If you're celebrating radical feminists, you might be dumb. Or just plain harmful. Uh-oh. This is... Let's do this. So I want to stay alive for a second. Did I get anything there? Okay. Let's do this. And get that. Healing. And then do this. Well, that was a little rough.
75% team.
Resupply pod is here. Everybody collect ammunition.
I grab one here. For real, mate says politics of BattleTech video when? Oh, yeah. I am not that much of a sort of lore hound kind of guy to be able to, like, make a treatise on the politics of BattleTech, and, you know, now... And it has, like I said, it's like this is a world that was created originally in the 80s, and it was imagining, like, oh, you know, the different groups of mankind would want to sort of pursue their differing destinies around the galaxy. You know, it talks about... So, like, if you had a BattleTech today, of course, like, everything would have to be totally diversified in every way. I think in this reality, though, you know, in the 80s, they were like, yeah, well, the Muslims don't go to space for hundreds of years, you know, and, like, eventually some influential imam said it would okay, because obviously Muslims, you know, they pray towards Mecca. Mecca's a big deal. They have their pilgrimages. Leaving the planet is like a huge deal, potentially, for Muslims. They might not be willing to do it, you know, maybe ever. And in the BattleTech universe, I believe a lot of them end up staying here and not leaving Earth for like hundreds of years past everyone else, until I think like an influential religious leader sort of like gives everyone the okay, and then different groups of them do so. But of course, you know, if this was a modern thing, you'd have to have the black Muslim female captain of your starship, right? You know, we can't tell the story in that sort of interesting, fun, different races of man pursuing their own destiny sort of way, right? It's got to be homogenous. It's got to be diverse. It's got to be anti-white, right? If anyone's not going and anyone's dying off or anyone's losing out, it'd have to be the white people if they were to write in the modern day, right? So, Mr. Gladius, I wish I had millions. I'd take it.
Prepare to fight for your life. A big swarm is
If I had
approaching.
millions, I don't know. Maybe I'll stream every day. Nero says, All Tomorrows is about humanity going into space and changing through evolution. Then a Reaper-esque species mutates them into different powerless species and spreads them all across the universe. It's not like a Tower of Babel story, is it? Nero says, then through millions of years, some humanoids go extinct and some evolved hands and intellect after they develop tech. Oh, so this is about multiple Aryan species that we are the progenitors of, supposedly? Like, it's like, oh, here's the interaction of all these different alien groups, but really, they all sprang from humanity so long ago. Is that what I'm hearing? Because that's actually somewhat like a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, if you remember. Only it doesn't put the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode doesn't put humans at the center, right? So humans and Klingons and what are those? Romulans. We're all come from the same sort of humanoid progenitor. They sort of they put sequence information in our own DNA to tell us. They have a hologram on a planet or something we go to. Oh my god. Exploders. Fronts. This is only stage 2, huh? Alright, let me scroll up the chat a second. Ando says, could you win Jeopardy? Hell no. Especially now. I feel like they want... I don't think so. I haven't watched... Oh, Jeopardy. Oh, Jeopardy. I was thinking Millionaire. Well, no, I doubt it. The stuff they want you to know for Jeopardy, man. Not even interesting stuff. Just bullshit. KNAT says, would be interesting stream to talk about how our nations would deal with borders if we expanded into space. Unless it's just whoever builds the O'Neill cylinder, then it will not be so interesting stream. What? Well, I mean, you could still have borders with O'Neill cylinders, right? You would just say, like, this star system, our star system. Think of it more like think of it kind of like a world of islands, you know? And the cosmos is a interstellar ocean, right? Like, your border is the edge of your island, right? Okay, so I think there's something on the wall. Yeah, so that's where I'm trying to go. That's interesting. Come on.
Zip line done.
Johnny 5K says the action music in this game is reminding him of GTA 5 action music. I wonder if they're the same maker. I don't know. Pretty good music. You know what else had good music? It's Hype Mat Defender. You guys play that game? It's made by one of our guys. Have you guys seen Hype Mat Defender? What day is it today? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I talked about on my Telegram and my Twitter, talked about the Hype Mat Defender developer having a sort of game jam, I believe, this month. Earlier this month now. They had a lot of good music in that Hype Mat Defender game. More exploders behind me. So these are glyphid tunnels. The swarmers come out of there. They're very annoying. Oh no. And now there's exploders in here. Oh, I thought that was one of them.
Where is that damn mule?
Oh, great. I got too close. Get out of here, swarmers.
Bullet in the face. Need to get my pickaxe sharpened when we get back.
Whoa! That was a lot of damage. Took out nearly my whole shields there. Just darn near instantly. Uh-oh. Look what I see here. Golden loot bug.
Come here.
Uh-oh.
Booyah! Loot bug eliminated. Deposit time. This is the
Yeah, that's a lot of gold there. Uh-oh. Got a ward in here.
All the Morkite needed. Excellent mining team.
Oh, okay.
All your objectives are completed. Drop pod beacon awaits activation.
Probably could just book it. But let me kill this warden. Okay, maybe, well... Alright, let's get out of here.
The deep dive is progressing nicely.
Alright, so that's the end of this section. Nero says about that IP or whatever he was talking about. The evolutions are all weird. Worm people, vessel people, zero gravity, thin people who move through farts. I'm guessing that's just your own interpretation.
Where's the damn drop pod?
Uh-oh. I'm stuck on some dirt.
Shield.
No!
Grabbing ammo. I needed that.
Okay, so this way, huh? Uh-oh. Don't hit me. Ooh! No. I said don't hit me. Uh-oh. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh.
Shield charge.
Alright. I filled up on ammo. I should be able to get back to the drop pad with basically using very little ammo. Okay.
Drop pod departing in T
Off of this wall,
4 minutes.
onto this wall. Look at that. A lot of stuff here. Hit it a few times. Let that blow up on each other. You can do damage to other bugs that way. I don't want to have to use my gun if I don't have to, as much as possible. Save ammo. Although I do have 260 nitro. Okay, so it's going in the pod. So let me just run through here. Bounce on the bad guy on my way to the pod.
Rock and stone him.
The mule is secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic thanks you for your good work. Drop pod will leave with...
For Real says, I wonder how laws in space would work. How enforceable would they be? Piracy and smuggling be rampant? Well, I feel like those sorts of questions are so highly contextual that they would be very hard to answer. My inclination is that well, I mean, like, piracy and smuggling, it might be pretty hard to do on, like, any bigger level than we have now, right? Like, you gotta keep in mind, if you want to go to a star system, right? Like, if you want to leave... Oh, we have no shields anymore, right? See that? No shields. You can also see it down here. If you want to go to a star system, if you get on a ship and you're like, I'm gonna go to this star system, you don't get to that star system, all right?
Very well so far.
You're leaving in that direction, so your descendants will arrive at that star system, right? Like, you'll be dead.
Let's get it done.
So, like, there's not gonna be... I mean, like, you could have interstellar piracy, but it would also be intergenerational piracy, right? Like, you'd go on a multiple generation long journey to go loot some other star system where your great grandkids or your great grandkids would finally, like, loot the people. You're mining the wrong thing. Mine higher. Not the oil shale.
Next time, let's go somewhere.
Johnny 5K says, what is this? Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's talking about the music. Yeah, it's probably not the same. It's good, though.
The drill dozer is en route to the Heartstone. Expect heavy resistance.
Minerals around ourselves. Stay close to the red.
Probably don't have to get any more nitro. I'm at 280. I could look around. Interesting tunnel shape, cave shape. I mean, there's nitro. I don't really care that
Attention
much.
team, to keep the drill dozer running at full capacity, you need to keep it clear of bugs. Also, we got an incoming swarm.
Eric has, says, have you heard or seen the Legend of Galactic Heroes? Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which he describes as a good political space series. I do know it. All right. I've not seen it. Get out of here. Let's throw a few grenades, just for fun. Ooh. Oh yeah, no shields. Every time they hit me with no shields, as you can see, Doretta also can kind of sort of fly. She... Uh-oh. Oh no. This is rough. There's a spitballer here? It's like a shooting gallery. we're climbing up the wall in front of the Spitballer just at the right angle for it to constantly bombard us. And of course now we have a sandstorm. For Real says, probably should specify it if we had faster than light travel. Well, and the thing is, while faster than light travel is like a staple of science fiction, that faster than light travel might always be the fiction side of science, right? Not saying that it might, like it could be done, but like if I had to put money on it, it will never be done, right? We could probably hope to achieve a high fraction of the speed of light, right? So like you're shooting, you know, maybe to get up to 10% of the speed of light and pushing even higher, 20% of the speed of light or something, maybe even higher. But chances are there will be no faster than light travel ever, right? And also no faster than light communication. Although, you know, people have speculated more on the possibility of like that being potentially more reasonable. Get away from here, Praetorian. I'm busy.
The drill dozer is fueled and ready to go.
Loretta, repair.
Oh, I already got both of them? Okay. That means I just gotta do these things. Okay, so, kind of on a wall there. Is there more in this room? Oops. Glad that didn't fall all the way down, although it's not too bad. All right, Bosco.
Keep them away from the drill dozer, boss.
Go protect the drill dozer. I know you're terrible at it, but go ahead. Secondhand says, what's everyone's favorite international coin/bill design? Here in Denmark, there are cultural relics on one side and bridges on the other.
I need to get closer.
Uh-oh. You got one of those things over there.
Get lined up.
Come on, you.
No more.
I mean, I don't know if I can think of a whole lot of international currency designs. Like, there's a lot of currency that I've used that I don't even remember that much about. You know? Okay.
Anyone guarding the drill
Oh my god, there's a lot of crap over here, huh? What is Bosco doing? Oh no! Okay, let's throw this down.
Shield up.
Put the shield on this before this thing dies. My god. Well, it won't die, but it will take permanent damage. Unrepairable damage.
Bandage stays on.
What's going on? Bosco, why are you sucking? Let's throw a resupply down here. Not
Stand back.
in
Supplies
that.
are inbound.
I'd have to look at the money. What if I type in most
Fix Loretta.
beautiful? I know you can't see this right now.
Time to restock.
Beautiful money.
I'm taking some of the ammo.
You know what's actually pretty good? Let me type this. Here's a very pretty. Well, you know who's done well? So let me bring up this. So here you got the South African Krugerrand, right? Krugerrand 1 ounce gold coins, you know, a lot of gold out of South Africa, you know, very iconic. And a 1 ounce gold coin is very pretty, and they've only gotten more pretty as the years have gone on. But you know who else is who makes like really high proof, extra fine coins is Canada, right? So like, my God. So here you see on there, to the left and the right of the maple leaf, you see 4 nines, right? So that's 99.99% pure gold. So I guess, I'm not sure about the exact definition. I think it's 99.99% of all of the atoms in the coin are gold atoms, right? With the very little impurities, so anything else other than gold. They've made some very, very high proof. So proof has to do with, like, the finish, right? Like, you know, you get these, like, extra shiny coins, right? It's like, if they intend for a surface to be flat, it's an extremely flat surface, but extra fine. So they have very, very high... So fine has to do with the actual purities, right? So most gold coins are 3 nines. They're 999. 99.9. Canadian ones are 4 nines. 9999. But you can also get 5 9 Canadian maples, and I know they've made like special, like, this is part of what it's like we're Canadian, this in terms of like them showing off something that they're good at. I think they've made, like, for special occasions, like some ridiculous, like 6 nines, or maybe even 7. I mean, 3 nines is hard. You need to use modern equipment and know what you're doing to produce anything that's 99.9% pure gold. But when they make just their average stuff 4 nines and special stuff 5 nines or maybe even 6 nines, right, that's like incredibly special. And that might not be what you were imagining I would answer when you were like the most pretty currency. You were probably thinking from like a design perspective, while I'm thinking from a sort of highly technical, they've done this really special thing. If you put in your hand a 4 nines gold maple leaf, you will likely never hold more pure gold than that, like purer gold than that. And if you ever do hold purer gold than that, it's probably some other maple leaf, right? And that might be one of the most pure things you ever hold ever, right? In terms of it being one chemical element, right? If you were to try and, like, go to retailers who sell certain chemical elements or chemical compounds, getting it that pure is special. All right.
Nitro has been withdrawn and supply pod is inbound.
Get out of here, guys. All right. We could look up bills and coins. Let me type this in. Let me bring up coins from around the world. There's the buffalo nickel. Well, that's not a buffalo nickel. That's a 1 in silver round inspired by the old buffalo nickel. I kind of like some of the coin, like some of the Asian coins with holes in them. I appreciate those. Let's type in like Hyakuen, 100 yen coin. Hyaku is 100. Yeah. It's kind of a neat one. I like that. What's on the reverse? Huh. Not bad. What else? I don't know. What's oldest coins? Let's find some old stuff. That's a dime. Not that old. What's this? You know, this Edge browser kind of sucks. Oh, look at that. Now that's an old coin. Hardly even a coin by modern standards. More like a dollop of gold with images pressed in it. Right? That's a neat one. Walking Liberty. When it's the sort of faded away details with the tarnish around the edges, merely making it pop. I mean, that's kind of neat. What's that? What do they call it when the silver coins are sort of tarnished? Well, let's see. Let's just try tarnished silver coins. I know there's like a... Yeah, there you go. You have some really sort of interesting silver coins. I've got a few silver coins that their tarnish patterns are actually pretty cool, pretty beautiful, you know. And I know I don't know if this is still a thing. I assume it's still a thing on some level. I remember years ago, some people started to pay some pretty high prices for these different sort of really special tarnish patterns. And so there were people buying gold coins and or silver coins and putting them in plastic bags with like boiled eggs, you know, and other mayonnaise and trying to create some really sort of special tarnish patterns. I mean, I love those eagles. Look at that. I mean, that's a pretty good flag, or a good coin, don't you think? Look at that. $quarter.
Must be worth a
Second Hat says Australia has the world's biggest gold coin. It's impressive. You should look it up. Yeah, I could look it up. I know they also have the world's biggest gold nugget, right? Some of those gold nuggets out of Australia, I mean, they're not a nugget anymore. It's like a gold boulder. All right, I hear them. There they are. Oh, I didn't grab a resupply yet. I was gonna throw a grenade because there were so many of them. Okay. Where's that, wasn't there a Praetorian around here? There he is. And gone. So one of the things, so if you watch the reload, right? So I'm going to try and fire as soon as possible. Look in the lower right. We got 27 ammo. Oh, sorry, I screwed it up. So 27, still can't shoot. Okay, there you can shoot, right? There's a delay. So one of the things you'll see people do, and I'll do it in a second. So start the reload, 27. The second 27 hits, you can switch guns and come back and ignore the rest of that sort of cooldown, right? Makes you a little bit faster, a little bit more powerful, ultimately. Less reloading. Oh, did I put one of the legs on a mini mule but forget to repair it? Second Hat says, in Denmark, we have 1 and 2 krona coins with holes in them. I kind of like them. I mean, I think it'd be neater if the coins with holes on them, if people still wore them on a string, right? Isn't that part of the point? The ones with holes on them is you can put them on a string, right? It'd be kind of cool if those coins were still put on strings. I don't know if they ever are in Denmark. I never saw anyone with money on a string in Asia, even though a lot of it had holes in it. But then again, you know, like, not all the money has holes in it. You know, you'd think you'd go either all holes or not holes. But... Nero says, thoughts on Joe Pera? I don't know Joe Pera. Uh-oh. Let's repair for a second. Okay, then now let's kill this warden.
Who's gonna protect you now, we crawlers? Come and get some.
Get rid of some of these. Uh-oh. Crawler. Or trawler. Whoa. Okay.
Extraction at 75%. Almost there.
Now I'll stand on top of the dozer and shoot the beamers. And there's that, and... Alright, we're good. Oh, another one. Second Hat says they're too little value to carry on a string. But I have seen them on a necklace once or twice. Okay. Well, I mean, it's, the inflation, man. The devaluation of currency over time, which steals away savings from the average person. I mean, it's bad. You just look at American money. I mean, we all remember... Well, I don't know about... Like, I remember gas being less than $1. My grandpa thought we were going to lose the farm when gas hit 10 cents. But, I mean, I remember gas less than $1. I remember lots of things being a lot cheaper than they are now. And they were expensive, well, by the time I was born. You got to remember, like, we used to have coins that were fractions of a penny. Right? You could get a quarter penny. A quarter, 1/4 of 1 penny would be a useful monetary value at one point. And if your great-grandpa, you know, okay. If you're however long ago, great, or whatever, I don't care. Some prior ancestor to you saved up 10,000 quarter pennies. If they didn't spend it on something that would retain its value, it's worth nothing, more or less, right? They had to have bought land with that, or some sort of durable, collectible good. I mean, even a durable good by now is probably worthless, but it had to be like a collectible good. Just to maintain its worth. And it's kind of a shame to see that wealth stolen away from people via inflation.
Molly, over here.
Fuel powering up.
All right. Well, now we can end this. Ready?
Good work. Sending in the drop pod.
Drop pod that direction.
Donkey, come here.
So I just call her closer as I get this way. Call her there. That should be good. I'll fill up once here. Just to give me 2 more,
Drop pod arrived. Mule is returning
Uh-oh.
to LZ.
Second Hat says, doesn't the American penny cost more to produce than it's actually worth at this point? Well, I think that changed a couple times, right? So, pennies used to be made out of copper. Ultimately, a copper penny is worth more in copper than it is as a penny, right? So, I don't know when they changed it, 70s or something? They changed it to be a zinc coin with a copper coating rather than a copper coin. And after a while, a couple decades, even the zinc coin was too expensive. Like, I don't know if it's worth more than $1 worth, or I don't know if a penny is worth more than 1 cent of zinc, but
Run for cover.
it might be worth. It might be still harder to produce ultimately, right? Costs you more than a cent to make it. Why is there a chunk of oil shale in here? Is it coming with us? No. Oh, it is coming with us.
Rock and roll and stone. Leave no dwarf behind.
Nero says he went through... Oh, is that 20%? Or do you mean 20,000%? What country is this? Oh, I'm past level 100, so it really doesn't do anything anymore.
For Carl.
All right. Oh, yeah, I can get 500
Just
credits.
what the doctor ordered.
Well. And there's one other thing I want to talk about on the stream today. And that is my sort of... You know, we talked in a stream a couple months ago. For Real says it's 4 zeros, my guy. Well, some people, they use, like in other parts of the world, they'll use a comma as a period. That'd be 20. If it's a comma, like what I'm expecting, then it's 20,000. But what country is 20,000, right? There's lots of countries where 20% makes sense. Not nearly as many countries where 20,000% makes sense, right? So, oh, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Oh, do I still have that? Do I still have that picture? What's this? If I click on that. Ah, okay. Yeah, you remember this? Oh, gosh. I can't hardly see it. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. So we've talked about people with low IQs, low intelligence, struggling to get involved in certain things, right? So this guy's on 4chan back in 2021 posting about IQ pills. You know, people less than 90 IQ struggling with conditional hypotheticals, right? So, for example, what would you have felt like yesterday evening if you hadn't had breakfast or lunch? And, you know, the person's saying, well, what do you mean? I did have breakfast yesterday. They're saying, yeah. Well, if you hadn't had it, how would you have felt? And then the person's responding, what are you saying? I didn't eat breakfast. I told you I ate breakfast. And then you try and walk them through it. Like, imagine you hadn't had eaten breakfast, though. How would you have felt? And they don't understand that question, right? A conditional hypothetical is one that's difficult to understand for some people below IQ of 90. And one of the things I encountered recently, and this is my own sort of just random thinking, right? Okay, can we bring up paint again? Let's see here. So, I was told a story, right? There's a woman, and this woman will be on the job, and they'll say, okay, everybody, remember, don't do X. You know, like, don't close this door. And after a while, she'll go to close the door, and someone will say to her, like, hey, they told us not to close the door. And the woman will say, I thought they told us to close the door, right? This is a consistent problem for this woman. Like, she's told not to do a thing, and she somehow interprets it as she should do the thing, right? Or she needs to do the thing. Or being told to do the thing, right? And in my mind, so I've heard that story in my life. And I was today sitting there, and there was a family at a nearby table, and I think the family sat down and there was some goop on the table or something, and the mom told the daughter, "Don't touch that." And the little girl touched it. And the mom was very frustrated. And it's interesting that this adult woman and this little girl are having the same problem. And here's my thinking. I'm sitting around thinking about this, right? I'm thinking, like, what is it that this adult woman and this child are struggling with, right? Because it didn't strike me... The woman in the job was not trying to disobey, right? Was not trying to, like, screw things up. And the kid didn't seem like she wanted to upset her mom. Like, she wasn't, like, trying to push the buttons, right? And you have those two situations, right? And I also saw recently... Well, let me bring up this instead. I saw recently orangutans being taught by older orangutans, or in some cases taught by humans, to be afraid of snakes, right? So, like, there are some orphan orangutans where the humans will go out into the woods with the orangutans. The humans will unveil a fake snake. The humans will act very scared, or this guy is attacking it, right? They're showing these orangutans like a snake is something you should be afraid of, right? Now, what didn't they do, right? They didn't introduce the concept of the snake to the orangutans, introduce the notion of touching the snake, and then negate that, right? They didn't do that. They expressed that you should be afraid of and dislike and attack or run from, you know, fight or flight with a snake, right? So, like, here's what I'm getting around to, right? So you can introduce to somebody the concept, right? We'll do door, right? So door, and then we can so we have somewhat of a subject or an object that we're introducing conceptually to a person, and then we can introduce a slightly more complex idea, an interaction with the object, open, right? So we're introducing the concept, we're bringing the object and an interaction with the object into focus for a person, right? We're telling them this, and then we are saying, don't. We're saying to negate this, right? Door, opening the door, now let's negate the whole thing. We saw that with the kid, you know, here's this thing on the table, this goop. You could touch the goop. Touching the goop, right? That's a thing. Negating it, saying don't do it, right? I don't think the little girl was trying to test the boundaries in this case, right? I don't think she was being defiant. I think she genuinely had trouble. She seemed concerned that her mom was angry. Right? So what I'm saying here is that this is a somewhat complex method to teach someone about something, right? Because that's not what we did with the orangutans. With the orangutans, we didn't say, here's a, you know, we didn't say, we didn't say, like, here's a snake, and here's an action, pet, and then this, and we're saying, okay, well, make sure you don't do this, right? We're not introducing them into, like, these ideas of what you could but should not do with the object. Yes, the woman had normal hearing, right? This is a consistent problem with her, whether she's reading directions or she's hearing directions, right? Like, I'm saying it's a somewhat complex process to introduce to someone conceptually an object, something to do with the object, and then negating it. What you could just say, so like, okay, let's go like this. Here's one way to introduce the concept to the monkeys, right? And it's got three components: the object, the action, and the negation. And negations are a very complex idea, ultimately. But what do they actually do? How do they actually teach these orangutans, these monkeys? Fear. Oops. So rather than telling someone what not to do, which I think is more intellectually demanding for them, instead it makes sense, like for this woman, instead of being told to not open the door, she could be told to avoid the door, right? Rather than introducing the object, the action that could be taken, and then negating it, just tell her to avoid it. Don't tell them, like, being friendly with snakes is bad and therefore should not be done, implying that you should stay away from snakes, but just to tell people, hey, stay away from the snake. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a lot of people out there who are sort of on the border. You know, these are people where you could give them a job in a manufacturing line, checking for quality of things. They could genuinely contribute to our society in meaningful ways. But in terms of, like, complex directions that are, like, highly contextual, and giving them directions that are about negating what shouldn't be done rather than just providing what should be done, could be too much of an intellectual challenge for them, right? So for the same reason, and you know, it's like, and I'm not saying like, oh, well, these people are stupid monkeys. You know, I'm saying that, like, we're on the spectrum with monkeys, right? There's like some level of like double negative, triple negative, quadruple negative in which like anyone gets lost, right? Even the most highly intelligent people, where we get like quadruple negative, self-referential, recursive thinking, and no one knows what anyone's talking about, right? Like, there's ways to add levels of complexity onto directions to lose anybody. But for some people, for some individuals, getting rid of negations helps, in my mind, as far as I can tell. This is my guess. So if you don't want your kid to touch some goop, rather than introducing them the idea of you could touch the goop but you shouldn't, instead of trying to negate the thing that they shouldn't do, you could say, danger, stay away, you know, or it's bad, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that's might not be like totally reasonable when you're a parent and you're dealing with all these things, so I'm like, you might not think to phrase like, instead of don't touch goop, you might not be able to think of avoid the goop, or like danger, you know. I don't know. Like, I'm not criticizing these people as parents who were nearby. I just simply observed their situation and felt like maybe their child, which again, the child didn't seem to me to be defiant. The child didn't seem to me to be pushing a limit. She seemed to like struggle to understand everything that was being said, and seemed scared when her parents got frustrated and, you know, sad and whatever. So I just feel like it's maybe a simpler, more digestible thought to tell someone what to do rather than negate things they shouldn't. There you go. Mr. Gladius says he missed part of the speech. Yeah, well, you could always scroll, rewind, if you want to hear the whole thing. It's not really a high IQ speech. It's just, it's my thoughts on, especially if you need to form a working relationship with someone with a lower intelligence, right? Like, if you need to work with someone who struggles with following what you might consider basic directions, that this might be a strategy to reduce the complexity of the directions you're providing while still providing the direction needed by avoiding negations, because they might struggle. Like, if they're struggling with the directions that contain negations, removing the negations and finding other and positive ways to give the directions might be enough for that relationship to work better, right? But that's just my idea. So it's like these three things, this conversation of this, like me learning about this woman who struggled with basic negative directions, right? So negated directions. Don't do X at her job. The child struggling with the same thing, and then seeing how orangutans are taught not with negated directions but with positive directions. This made me just sort of, this is how I put two and two together about the world, right? This is how I sort of was like, okay, maybe this is what's happening. Whoop. Second Hat says, what percentage of the general population do you think is on the border between merely stupid and actually really, really dumb? Which country? And, like, obviously, you're going to encounter some amount of ethnic reality in this conversation, right?
By the beard!
I mean, if you're in Atlanta, it's going to be a lot more common than if you're in Cleveland, even though those are both American cities. But let me type in something here. I know you can't see it, but let me see if I can bring it up. Interesting that the ball didn't score the goal there. So if it has to go through in the correct direction to score the goal. Yeah, because you see there's no score on this side. This is like the back. Let's see here. Oops. Spelled it wrong. Let's just take a look real quick here. Like, if you look at an IQ bell curve, so it's something like, let me see here. We do, I mean, so here you have 14% below 85 with 2% below 70. You know, I'd say you got a good 10 to 15% of people there, at least in this sort of scenario, with a average IQ of 100, standard deviation at 15, right? In this sort of scenario, which might not apply to your country, or your country might not be this good, in this sort of scenario, might have like 10% of people who, like, a conditional hypothetical. How would you feel if you had not eaten? And negated directions, like don't do X. They're going to sometimes get and sometimes not. It might be a little complex. And then there's that like 5 or 6% who really, really struggle. Second Hat says, I work with someone like that. After the first 5 conversations, you just see that it's not a quirky personality, but a lower intelligence. Yeah. I mean, this is just, you know, at the end of the day, I have, like, some distant cousins. So I have a distant cousin, right, who's probably, I think he got tested and had, like, he has, like, an IQ of, like, 80, right? So he can get his job on time, mostly, right? And he married a woman with an IQ of, like, 80. And a lot of the times, they're broke. And they don't do everything right. And they're not, like, bad people. Right? They're mostly being nice and good and pro-social, right? Not stealing, doing drugs, or anything like that. But they might be drinking a little too much alcohol, and they might be sort of spending their money frivolously, and things are not always going well in their household, but they are, like, people who you need to function with, right? This is... You have these various... I mean, from our perspective, for a lot of us, it's like, you have the highly unintelligent, you have lots of midwits, right? You're sort of, I love science, Reddit, you know, 110 IQ guy who's like, who looks down on those 80 IQ people and just like hates them and thinks himself as a genius, right? And then it's like, all these people kind of have their own hang-ups and they all have their own limitations, and the goal is to try and like build a society with all these people and to like make it function. And well, I mean, the only reason I brought it up is I thought it was an interesting thing to think about, and also it led to a potential strategy, right? Like if you, I would like for a lot of our guys to potentially build some businesses. You probably should think about doing some entrepreneurial action in your life, because there's a lot of potential financial benefit to entrepreneurism. There's a lot of social benefit. People give you a lot of credibility if you can become a successful entrepreneur. And also, like, for those of you guys who go on to build families, entrepreneurs, not only do you have the finances a lot of times, you also, like, can set your own schedule. You can make those vacations. I mean, there's a lot of benefit to do it. But when you're an entrepreneur, depending on where you're hiring people, you can always be in a situation where you might need to dumb down some of the directions for your employees, right? Just to make sure, like, you might have to take out negated directions and add in positive directions, because it's like conceptually simpler for your employees. Because the more, if obviously, on some level, when you put down a rule, one of the things you're thinking about is you want rules that are in the right direction, but you also want rules that are fundamentally going to create high levels of compliance, right? Right? There's no use putting a rule down if compliance is going to be non-existent, right? Well, if your rule is written in an intellectually too complex way, then compliance is lowered just due to the intellectual complexity. Lowering the intellectual complexity of the rules can improve compliance, which makes the rules better. Life After Death, hey, how's it going? I don't know what the heck you guys are writing in the chat there. I mean, I don't want women to steal your money, but I would like you to maybe find a wife and to build a life together and a family. Right? Which is not just a random woman, nor is it an inconsequential woman that you dislike. It's your wife. Second Hat thinks he might be a midwit. I don't know. Maybe. Knet says, we should all love science, just like Embargo said. Well, you know. Science is I mean, I like rigorous empirical exploration of the world. Insofar as what you call science is for that, I'm good. Insofar as science is ultimately against that on some level, due to some people, for some reasons, then it's bad, right? But a lot of people will use the term science as a catch-all for all reasonable empirical exploration of the world, which is like more of their political, emotional view of it. They just define science as reasonable. And then you get into the conversation where you say, well, what about Nature and these other scientific journals publishing articles about trying to remove the white supremacy out of physics or some nonsense? They're like, well, that's not real science. Okay. Well, so that then we've definitionally created the science as the ultimate good, but then functionally when we encounter what we consider a scientific institution acting in a bad way, then it's just like definitionally less science. Whatever. Johnny 5K, some of these issues could also be problems with concentration. Yes. I think, yeah, intellectually more complex rules might be difficult for some people to grasp because they can't grasp such difficult concepts. Other times, if an intellectually complex rule might just take longer to grasp and therefore may stretch past what some people are able to provide in terms of concentration. In either case, the intellectual decomplexifying, the simplification, let's say, of the rule is like has social utility, right? Like you potentially improve your business that way. For Real says, yo, oh, I know. At Life After Death says, you okay? You're jumping around. Well, sometimes when if I'm really trying to pay attention to the conversation and actually contribute, I might not always be able to do the most complex things in-game. But I bet you I could do a really fast... I could go on Driller. Oh, no, not that one. I could go on Driller and Sandblasted and do this. We'll do a solo. As for, we'll go to Driller. This will be the last mission for the day. Okay, we want Scout, Driller. We'll do Cryo.
Rock and stone, brother.
Second Hat says, have you ever talked about the replication crisis? He says there's a lot to sink your teeth into, especially in regards to soft sciences. Yeah, well, the replication crisis is a very important thing to wrap your head around if you want to understand the limits and the problems of what we might think of as the scientific method as practiced today by many people. All right? I've never talked about it on stream. I'm not ultimately an expert on it. I've read enough to get the gist. Oh my goodness, a warden. But certainly, if anyone wants to criticize what we might think of as science, or defend what we might think of as science, or understand what we might think of as science, if you don't know the replication crisis or information about it and the extent of it, then you're not really in a position to understand or talk about it, right? If you don't know anything about it. If you don't know about the replication crisis. So, for the Reddit tier defenders of science, or what they think of as science, they should learn about that. I haven't bothered to talk about it and to make sure I have all my P's and Q's straight with the whole thing because other people have been doing it better, right? Other people have been doing it already. I didn't feel the need to get involved. The most I would ever bother doing is just drawing attention to it, right? Like, the replication crisis exists. For any of you who don't know that the replication crisis, as in exists, then you should find out right now. And just so you know, replication crisis, right? So let's say you do us, son of a... Let's say you do an experiment and you come up with X result, right? Well, if the conclusion you want to draw from that is true, it should come up again and again and again, more or less, right? If you have someone else runs the same experiment, they should get the same result, if the conclusion's actually true. And we're finding, to a large degree, that's not happening. Especially in, like, psychology and whatnot. Sociology, right? So, when you look at stuff like physics, and astronomy, these sciences have made predictions, and even gone through difficult-to-accomplish tasks, like putting a man on the moon, you know? There's nothing out of psychology that's similar to putting a man on the moon, really, right? And in general, when you look at medicine even, right, there's obviously a difference in the accomplishments of different medical fields, right? Like, if you break your spine in a way that would have almost assuredly been lethal decades ago or even just a few years ago, we can now save your life. But if you're having, like, schizophrenic delusions that the world is against you and you're lashing out violently at your family members, our ability to treat that is, like, much worse, right? Like, some of those treatments for that might be good and they might be accomplishing something, but not in the same way where we just, like, save your life with a broken spine, right?
Grab it.
And you look at the way, oh no, not again. Damn it. Oh, man. Give me that. Grab that.
Carry support here.
I'm gonna go in the hole. Yoink.
Contact. Lock and load.
Second Hat says something like 60% of psychology studies cannot be replicated. It's basically modern-day Lysenkoism. And one of the things I saw interesting, too, was that when they compared the studies that were able to be replicated versus studies that weren't able to be replicated, and compared that to sort of like, they had a opinion poll of the public's opinion, right? They found that if the public thought a study wouldn't replicate, then it probably didn't, right? And when the public thought it would replicate, it generally did. Meaning, like, in terms of, there are, like, these bogus psychological conclusions coming out of, you know, science, what we would think of science, right? Your average person's gut feeling about which of these things is bogus is actually probably true, right? If a psychology paper says something about, oh, XXX, yeah, like the stereotype threats, this sort of stuff, and then your average person is like, God, that sounds like such nonsense, I can't believe they're doing this. Like, then it probably is nonsense. At least for now, you know? Ideally, you'd want your science to be so robust that an average person's uneducated guess wasn't better than your science, but at the moment it is, right? An average guy just being like, no, that sounds like nonsense. Who cares about this? Like, that's probably a better view than actually reading some of this science. Get out of here. Well, and I'm sure some of you may have looked into this. You know, there's a lot of political sort of establishment problems with dealing with nutrition, right? our nutrition science is kind of junk science at the moment. This is partly because, you know, and someone might say, hey, well, this is good that it's a problem in some way. But, like, part of it is an ethics problem, right? Ideally, you would really, really test these things. Where the hell is this last quark? But, like, let's say someone... Let's say it is the general scientific consensus that bacon is bad. Well, you're probably not going to be able to put through a bacon-heavy diet through an ethics board. Like, so you cannot ethically test any statement about unhealthy diets to some degree, right? If, like, bacon's bad for you or too much salt's bad for you, then you're going to have a hard time ethically justifying any scientific study that puts people on what's considered the harmful diet, right? And then you end up with confounding factors when you try and go through, like, more society-based research on it, right? Like epistemology, or not epistemology, that other thing, epidemiology. So, like, let's say it is the general consensus that bacon's bad. So you're not allowed to do a study, ultimately, like, putting someone just, like, on more bacon, right? You can't just, like, put someone on something that's considered harmful and say, like, let's see how bad it actually is, right? That would be unethical. And in real life, everyone's talking about it, right? Like, everyone, because this is now the sort of establishment idea, this is something people talk about. So you end up in a situation where, like, people who want to be healthy, therefore follow the mainstream advice, they both eat less bacon and get more exercise. So when it's time for you to do the study and just look at general population trends, you notice that the bacon eaters are less healthy because, after all, it's considered unhealthy by the general public. So a lot of the bacon eaters also don't exercise. This is what's called a confounding factor, right? The fact that, like, because it's in a sort of an establishment societal truth that bacon's bad, like, you have, like, this weird correlation between, like, bacon and smoking. You have a correlation between bacon and sedentary lifestyles, bacon and drug use. Like, there's a correlation here because people who are very health conscious and brush their teeth and exercise and do all the right things are the ones avoiding bacon, and it's hard to actually tease out what the actual health effect of bacon is. So it's just one of the ways in which a lot of our different sciences, you know, isn't that interesting, isn't that good. You know, it's like someone's like, oh, embargo, we're gonna have a scientist come over and you can talk to them about their science. It's like, well, what's their science? It's like, if they're dealing with, you know, I don't know, physics, chemistry, math, astronomy, this is probably some pretty interesting stuff. If it has to do with nutrition, psychology, sociology, ethnic studies, you know, Afro-American Journal of Science, like, oh man, yeah. Life After Death says they have a PhD in thermal physics. Now they can work at Walmart. Congratulations, you can be a Walmart greeter. Welcome to Walmart. Or Costco. Where's my thing? Is it on here? Here it is.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
What? Where is it?
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome here.
Okay, let's do that again.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Here.
There you go. Life after death, first day on the job. Welcome to Costco. I love you. FN says a lot of sociological studies, which were designed to be malleable, consciously or not, such that whatever specific takeaway researchers wanted to come to through the results/data, it would. Right. Mr. Goliath says, do loot bugs have more IQ than dwarves? I doubt it. We're beating them so bad. Nero says he smokes his bacon. It's like... Depends on what we mean by the word smoke there. All right. Well, we got to talk about a few fun things today, I'd say. I had my whole rant about people trying to wave you through traffic. A lot of those people suck. No, like I said, a lot of those people are really nice. They're really nice people to have around, for the most part. But they are sometimes real big pain in the butts. Because they don't know what they're doing. And again, as we talked about, sometimes they use the wave through as like their coping mechanism for not understanding who actually has the right of way and who's actually supposed to go, right? There are times where like they stop at a yield sign and they're waving you through when really they should have just went and this would have all been over by now, but like they didn't get it. Like you do have some people using the wave through as a crutch for not being able to drive.
If you don't rock and stone, you ain't coming home.
But we got to talk about the intellectual similarities between children, monkeys, and humans. But yeah, it was a good day today. I'll probably be playing tomorrow again. Okay, I will be playing tomorrow again. Same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time US. Convert that to your time. I'm probably going to play Deep Rock Galactic again. That being said, tomorrow you'll be able to join me if you want, right? Like if you want to play missions with me, you can come play missions with me. Tomorrow I'll come into the map and I'll pick, like, whoever's in my party, I will use one of the missions that you need for one of your assignments, right? I'll run your guys' assignments for the missions. And that'll be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll stream for a couple hours. And coming up on Wednesday, we'll be playing Deus Ex Human Revolution. Still continuing that game. And remember, Tuesday on Pokemon Go is going to be the spotlight hour for, what is it? Paris. Which is gets extra Stardust on that Pokemon. That's a good one. But anyways, that's about it for today. If I don't see you tomorrow, then have a good weekend. Peace out, everybody. Peace, peace.